Ladies, everyone. Article 2, to elect by secret ballot the following town officers. 1, election, assessor, and overseer of the 4. The tally of ballots for that position was 23 votes for Don Kent, 89 votes for Bob Flint, 1 for McKinney, 1 for Sanborn. I declare Bob Flint the winner. 1 town clerk, 1 tax collector and treasurer. The tally of the ballots for that, 117 votes for Debbie Wakefield. I declare Debbie Wakefield the winner. 1 school board director. The tally of ballots for that, 89 ballots or votes for Wes Sunderland. 1 for Tracy Howell, 1 for Kelsey Sanborn, 1 for Kevin Minor, 1 for Brent Anderson, 1 for Chris Minch, Merch. 1 for Keith Stackhouse, and another for Brian Anderson. Same Anderson?
Brent and Ryan, 2 different.
What was my Brian name? Nonetheless, I declare West Sunderland the victor, winner. So we have our Article 2. Article 3. Oh wait, I got to do stuff. Any politicians who wanted to speak to the town? If we wanted to get one, we got none. This year's warrant is dedicated to, on the second page, Kathy Peter. As is sometimes my tradition when the dedication is for a person, I give them the opportunity to speak to the town if they'd like for a short message. Would you like to give a short message? Congratulations.
So, nice to see as many people as here for the meeting. Thank you very much. This is really nice. But I don't do this by myself. Time goes by and you just sort of plug yourself into different things and help out where you can. And suddenly they're saying thank you to you publicly. So, not possible without the teamwork of others. I've been influenced by the people that came before me. My father-in-law, who helped to run the community room at the library. His mother, who helped to buy a fire engine for the town of Bolton, because she wanted to make sure that her fire would be put out should there be one. People like Norma and Glenn Haynes, Joanne Ward. There's so many others in the community that have helped out over the years to make Bolton what it is. These team efforts are things like when I was a kid, I was in the Army, I was a dependent, so I saw that effort around everywhere. I was in the Girl Scouts, the Helping Hands and the personal growth. All of these volunteer situations just add to the quality of life. Recently, we got involved with things like the University of Maine Extension educators needed local people to help out to do outreach and education. I knew about raising sheep and trees, so that added that component. Other people had other things that they knew about, and the volunteers helped those educators put great programs out into the public. We've had them here in town. Things like extending the harvest. You know, you need to talk to people who grow stuff. How do you preserve things? How do you teach those around to do that themselves? We were named Sugar Makers, maple syrup. We were with Tree Farm and American Forest Foundation, and we ultimately wound up receiving a National Outstanding Tree Farmers Award. That was a lot of work, but we had a great forester, and again, it's a team thing. So my point is that to add to the quality of the town, you have to help those around and lead the next generation. Encourage them in any way that you can to get them involved. We don't have the church members that we used to, so that outreach has kind of died back. There's no extension groups right now. We do have the 4-H program, the Future Farmers of America. That's a great help for the kids, but setting an example is probably the best way to do things. We get volunteers everywhere, the fire department, EMTs, the Community Auxiliary, which I'm part of, the Grateful Undead, which you've had conversations outside about, Lions, Masons, Kiwanis Club, for the kids, it's the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, the 4-H, and I think it's called Yellow Tulip. It's another organization to help kids to keep things solid. So if you can volunteer your time with them or money, go to events, thank them, buy their stuff, whether it's a product or a service or food. Promote items, exclusive items in any way that you can. Always a great town and a wonderful community. Let's do it that way. So thank you very much.
We have a clapping crowd today. You don't always clap, is there? So, three other administrative items before we start. I often like to acknowledge those who have passed involvement at the town meeting with the moment of silence. Traditionally, the town report has had the names of the individuals who have passed in there. I actually noticed this year we didn't do it, and what we've been told is it's illegal to do it. We can't put the names in. So it's unfortunate because I always thought it was a really nice tribute to those who were lost. So if you don't see it in this year, it's because we were told it's legally we weren't able to do that. So, but I would like to take a few seconds to just moment of silence to acknowledge those who have passed. We lost 17 residents this year, which actually is a relatively small number from what I recall. So let's take a moment of silence. Thank you. Two more housekeeping items. First off, I know someone is going to ask a question, so I want the select board to address it before we even get into it. When I received the town report, it said that it's for the 2024 something. And I was like, what? This is 2025. So I'd like them to address why it says 2024 on the front. I'd also like to ask them to address, when you compare the numbers in the warrant to what's in the back, they don't necessarily add up. That is part of the reason it says 23, 24. But when it says the 2025 expenditure, I'd like the select board to explain what that means in terms of where that figure came from, because it doesn't appear to come from the back. So I'll give the floor to the selectmen to talk about that.
So this town report is reporting on the audited year. The last audited year that we had ended in June 30th, 2024. The last fiscal year ended just this June 30th, but we don't have an audit. So this is what is reported in the audit. There's a little bit of a disconnect because state law says we're supposed to in the town report. It says contain a record of all financial transactions of the municipality during the last municipal year. And then further goes on and says we should have an audit report, but we can't get an auditor to do that. And many of the towns in the state have the same problem. It's been written up in the MMA and written up in the newspaper. So we're a year behind in our audits. So when you get into the back of the report where Deb has her financial information, it is the last audited information, not the audit from the last fiscal year. The last fiscal year was 2025. We're now into 2026 by 3 months. But when you go into the town report, in each warrant item, we put in there a little block below that tells us what we spent based on Deb's data and Trio. So what we spent last year, which is what we're looking for. You want to compare what we spent last year and how did we do compared to what we were budgeted. So, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. All the towns around us seem to be struggling with the same thing.
Any questions about that before we start? Because it's kind of a fundamental issue that's going to feed the rest of the meeting. Okay. All right, last housekeeping item before we get going is, I know many of you, my name is David Strock. I am a resident of Baldwin over on March Road, North Baldwin, you see. At 8 o'clock this morning, I was elected to be the moderator of the meeting. So if you ever want to be the moderator, show up at 8 o'clock and campaign and see if you can get it. Basic rules. I see there's 1 or 2 new faces that I don't recognize. When you have a question directed towards me, I will direct it towards who I believe has the most knowledge, and somebody else may chime in later. But direct your questions to me, and the discussion should flow through me. Typically, I allow the person making the motion to speak first. So if they make a motion in the amount of X dollars, I tend to let them speak first. This helps kind of keep things moving along. If you want to change or modify whatever the motion is, you can certainly ask to do that, and we'll vote for whether to change it. Last, traditionally in main town meetings, only residents are allowed to speak. I find it to be helpful to have everybody being able to speak. So unless I hear an objection, I'd like the authority to recognize non-residents when they raise their hand. No objection, good. Probably unanimous consent, so you're giving me the authority to do something. If you are a non-resident and you do want to speak, please let me know that you're a non-resident. It's only fair for the residents to know that you're not from town. You'll still be able to speak, but I would like to know if you're a non-resident. All right. Any questions before we start? It's going to be quick this year. No questions. All right. Article 3. To see if the town will vote to accept or act upon the report of its collectors, assessors, and overseers of the poor, clerk and treasurer, and other town officers of the last year. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the report. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the report as stated in Article 3 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote be affirmative. Article 4, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for administrative expenses consisting of legal fees, interest, supplies, office equipment, insurance, workmen's compensation, audit, assessing, and operational items not specifically covered by other appropriations. The select board recommends $152,952. I'll entertain a motion.
What was recommended?
It's been moved and seconded as recommended. Discussion of Article 4. Yes.
this may be a question I'll have going forward as I look through the other pages. If we have an expenditure for 25 that says 140,137, there is a $12,000, almost $13,000 difference in what's recommended. Do we know why?
Yes,
I'll put that to the select board, to answer that question.
we are expecting some increase in legal fees this year.
Additional questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $162,952 for Article 4, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote in the affirmative. Article 5, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for building maintenance consisting of building insurance, phone, internet, electricity, alarm system, janitorial wages, and minor operational items and repairs pertaining to the Baldwin Community Center. The select board recommends $58,172. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded in the amount recommended. Discussion of Article 5. Yes.
How much of that is for repairs to this building?
Most of the repairs that we do comes out of the capital investment program, we've got a land. So the roof repairs that we did in siding came out of the capital investment plan.
So when we get there, then I want to know how much is for the repairs to this building.
Yep.
You need repairs.
Yep.
And that's the easiest thing to cut,
Yep.
in my experience.
Yep.
Additional discussion on Article 5. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $58,172 for Article 5, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative. Article 6. So there's not many articles. The town did a great job this year on the articles, but there's an amendment to this article. We're going to add the word "or annual stipend," and so you'll hear me read it because we're certainly not going to vote to give the chairman $12,000 an hour, which is a literal interpretation of it. Want to try? No. Do that. Article 6, to see what hourly rate for annual stipend the town will vote to pay the town officers for the ensuing year. The FY25 approved rate for stipends are as follows. Select board chairman, $12,000. Other select board members, $10,000. Clerk, treasurer, tax collector, $28 per hour. Road commissioner, $28 per hour. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of the FY25 approved rate. Discussion. These are critical pages. Are we all good on this? Does everybody understand what we're doing?
How much will they making before? They haven't, they're not going up, you know.
Well, most often, from my experience, is when they do get a raise, they get raised from the floor and comes back to us. You don't necessarily vote that they have that.
Oh, I understand that, so just.
So I think that was probably the critical left is FY25 was the past year. So the recommendation, so the motion is to pay the same as last year.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying the chairman a $12,000 stipend, the other select board members a $10,000 stipend, the town clerk, treasurer, and tax collector, $28 per hour, and the road commissioner, $28 per hour. Say yes?
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote be affirmative in the amount stated. Article 7, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for office compensation for the town clerk's office for the ensuing year. This article includes town clerk wages, assistant clerk wages, ballot clerk, and related town share of FICA and Medicare. The select board recommends $114,179.29. I'll entertain a motion.
One was recommended.
Second.
To move and seconded in the amount recommended. Discussion, Article 7. Yes.
Just a question on why the increase of $6,000?
A lot of it has to do with health insurance. Health insurance.
Just like the Medicaid, that's going up considerably as well. Which is something that the state makes you pay for all their programs. They get a little bit out of each time.
Additional questions or discussion? Yes.
So what is the breakdown for each?
Breakdown for each position. Is there a reference in the budget in the back to the breakdown of the proposed 114 and change? So, what the goal is in the, page 31, for the 23-24 fiscal year, there's a breakdown as to the general allocation. And what I'm being told is that while the number may be slightly different, the relative, ratios are about the same.
So mostly the insurance and that stuff, not their wages actually.
It's basically incremental increases that we all experience with everything.
Additional questions? Yes.
This Article 7 mentions the wages for the town clerk. However, Article 6 says town clerk is going to get $28 an hour. How are those two articles related?
Sure. So, the first article was determining the rate of pay, and the second article is allocating funds to pay for that work when it's actually done. So the first sets the rate, which the town, for all elected officials, the town sets the rate of pay. And then the Article 7, the town is granting the selectmen the right or the ability to use $114,000, well, we haven't passed it yet, but to use $114,000 of our money to pay for their employment.
Okay, but we haven't set the hourly rate for the assistant clerk. Am I correct?
Correct. So, traditionally, the town has voted on elected official compensation, not on employee compensation. That the CEO and the assistant town clerk are employees, and so traditionally, the select board has determined that rate. Is that
You got it right. So those elected officials, Deb has her own office and she has her own budget, and she hires her support as she needs it within her budget. The road commissioner does the same, and the select board does the same.
Great question. Great question. Additional questions on Article 7? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $114,179.29 for Article 7, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote be affirmative in the amount stated. Article 8, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for control officer, code enforcement officer, and the related town share of FICA and Medicare. The select board recommends $130,000. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $130,000. Discussion. Yes.
Why is it so much lower than the, fiscal year 25 expenditure?
Because, last year we had a situation where we needed a code enforcement officer, and the one that we found was demanded a very high wage.
Mm-hmm.
And then we decided we needed to have a backup because of issues that he had with health. So we hired somebody else to come on and do training, and, that was expensive. So,
And we're still looking for a code enforcement officer?
we have them now, at the moment.
Okay. Thank you.
Additional discussion on Article 8. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $130,000 for Article 8, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative of $130,000. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate 80% of the cost of health insurance for full-time town employees. It is second here. I'm just trying to see if we can do it. If we can do it, if we can open that, it's not, we're not spending $1 specific. All right, I'll do it. The select board recommends $38,259.18 for 3 employees. I'll entertain a motion.
Move as recommended.
It's been moved and seconded and the amount recommended. Discussion. Why is it less than last year?
We had more employees taking it last year than we do this year.
I thought they had to go with insurance. They don't need it.
Additional discussion. Just for explanation, the reason I paused is, as a moderator, I don't like this type of article because it's not a particular figure. When you vote, you're not going to decide what a particular figure is. So it's an open item. You're voting 80% of the cost. I don't really like to do that type of thing, but if it's just one, I'm not going to protest, but they should be $1 specific. So that's why I thought.
Agreed.
So in the future, just for the selectmen, if we could just make sure there's a cap on that, that'd be helpful.
Noted.
And that's my job, right, is to make sure that the folks who don't come, if they look at the articles, they can say, well, I didn't come because they know how much approximately is going to be spent, so, but I'll move on.
Can I ask a question? Okay, so there's 3 people taking it, it's not $1,071 per employee.
Per month.
So, but it's per employee. So if you take the staff and the 1,093 times the 3 times 12, it doesn't come up to the 38,000, it comes up to 39,000.
Yeah, so what, we bridge, our fiscal year bridges calendar year, and MMA charges us on the calendar year that would set the rate. So if you look at the first number there, it's $1,031.80 for the first 6 months, and then the next one is the rest. That's kind of a hybrid. We have to do that a couple of times.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating appropriating 80% of the cost of health insurance for full-time town employees, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote is affirmative. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to appropriate an estimated $1,084,459 from the following non-property tax revenues to reduce the tax commitment. Estimated FY 26 state revenue sharing, $188,235. Estimated FY 26 homestead / EETE reimbursement, $122,174. Estimated FY 26 municipal revenue, $524,050. Undesignated fund balance, $200,000. From the tax stabilization fund, $50,000. The select board recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move as presented.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded as presented in the article. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of appropriating an estimated $1,084,459 as set forth in Article 10, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote in the affirmative as stated in the article. To see if the Article 11, to see if the town will vote to instruct or authorize the select board to hire sums of money as necessary to pay the current expenses of the town for the ensuing fiscal year. These loans made in anticipation of FY 26 taxes.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion of Article 11.
Has the town ever done this? Do you anticipate having to go on it? Well, why don't you?
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of instructing or authorizing the select board to hire sums of money as stated in Article 11, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative. Article 12, if the town will vote to authorize the select board on behalf of the town to sell or dispose of any real estate acquired by the town for non-payment of taxes on such terms as they deem advisable, and to execute quitclaim deeds for such property. The select board recommends passage. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
The move and seconded as read. Discussion on Article 12.
Do we, as the town, want to hand that authority over to the select board without knowing what land we might be talking about, what property we might be talking about? Maybe the town would like to be consulted if it wants that property. Just a thought.
I'll take those as rhetorical questions, not seeking an answer.
If Dan wants to answer, I'll
Yeah, I'm just saying, I mean, it's not like, it's just turned into work for us, so it's not like we're trying to negotiate pricing. Any proceeds go back to the owner, minus whatever legal fees, cleanup fees we might have to take care of the property, and the taxes of those, so. I don't know if that would be, what, an outside committee to do that or not, because you're not making anything.
I'm just saying, bring it to another town meeting before selling property.
Chairman and Speaker.
I think it's not for the can make that decision, that's one of the responsibilities.
Speaker, the front says he believes that the select board should make or can make that decision. Other discussion? Are we on 12? Hearing none, all those in favor of authorizing the select board, as stated in Article 12, say yes.
Yeah.
All those opposed, say no.
No.
Affirmative. Article 13, see if the town will vote to authorize the tax collector to charge and collect interest at a rate of 7% per annum on all unpaid taxes or part thereof, and establish property tax due date of 1 December 25 and 1 April 26 for 2 equal payments. Interest will begin accruing the day after the due date. The select board recommends passage. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded as read. Discussion.
How did we arrive at a 7% interest rate? That's higher than in the past, isn't it?
I would like to tell you that we went through a big spreadsheet, but we didn't, the state allows us to, I think, the state sets the maximum every year. And I think this year was 7.5%.
Yeah.
We try to knock it down just a little bit, you know.
Are you familiar with the term cost of capital?
Yeah.
Right. So what is the town's cost of capital? In other words, if you have to borrow money for operations, what does it cost you?
I don't know. We haven't done it in many, many years. I do know that the lending agency will come in and do some kind of a credit worthiness. That's why we try to keep our fund balance up a little bit.
It's just that 7% seems high relative to the rate of inflation, and you know, I'm kind of opposed to the town making money, you know, income revenue by charging people interest on their unpaid taxes if it's greater than what it costs the town to do business as a, you know, to have a cost of capital. I just think the 7% might be a little high. Is there any rationale why we need it to be 7%?
Like I said, we don't have a spreadsheet that says this is how much we need. I guess it's whatever your philosophy is. If the town wants to be, in essence, commensurate with what a bank would charge somebody on a personal loan or whatever, we do try to keep it as a deterrent so that people will pay their taxes. But we don't want to slap them with the hardest. Most years we back off a little bit of what the state allows.
Additional discussion. 1-6. Yes.
First off, I can confirm that the state maximum allowed rate this year is, as Bob said, 7.5%. I looked up the cost of personal loan and a home equity loan of credit, and they seem to be like 8.5%. I'm not sure. I think 7% is a gift. I'm not sure why the vast majority of people who do what time to pay their taxes should necessarily be subsidizing those who, for whatever reason, do not. So I think 7% is quite reasonable.
Second,
So you have the date that they're due, when are you sending out the bill?
It's going to be up shortly, because as soon as this meeting's over, then we have what the budget will be, and then they can crank it out and do the tax. What is it, Jeff? We figure a couple of weeks?
Yes.
One other thing I'd like to say is, we have a lot of people who don't pay their taxes when they're due. They wait until just before the property is going to foreclose, and they'll come in and they'll pay that last year off. And they pay all kinds of penalties. They just do it when it's due. And, you know, to make it a habit is really just funding the town a little bit. Not that we count on it, but we're not doing it to punish people, but we do operate on what we expect to collect.
Is there any guy?
Yeah, I was curious why the change. I thought we were doing 2 payments a year, 6 months apart. Any reason why now it's 4 months apart?
I think it's because of this year we moved our town meeting back a bit. So these are the dates that we got from Denver.
Yeah. Dad doesn't want to speak unless you have to. Additional, did that answer your question?
I think so. I'm just curious if we ought to amend it to show a 6-month spread.
It actually has to do with taxing, 30-day notices. We have to have them in before the June 30th end of year. And if we move them, then it's going to pass that, and it's going to make the message even more.
Thank you.
Yep.
Additional questions, Diane?
Wait, if somebody comes in and pays their, uses the old one, are you going to give them a list of numbers?
I think you get that in a number, one of these here.
Yeah, you prepay your taxes, there's a article, Article 17, if you haven't got it, but we're not there yet, but good question. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of authorizing the tax collector as stated in Article 13, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote is affirmative. Article 14, see if the town will vote to set aside, I was thinking about something totally different. To see if the town will vote to set the rate of interest paid on overpayment of taxes at 3% per annum, up to 4% below the per annum rate charged on unpaid taxes, in accordance with 36 MRSA Section 506A. Select Board recommends passage. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of setting the rate of interest paid on overpayment of taxes at 3% annum, as stated in Article 14, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative. Article 15, see if the town will vote to authorize the municipal officers to spend an amount not to exceed 3/12 of the budget amount in each budget category of the Baldwin annual budget during the period from July 1st, 2026 to the next annual town meeting. Select Board recommends passage. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of authorizing the municipal officers as stated in Article 15 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote the affirmative as read. Article 16, see if the town will vote to authorize the Select Board to dispose of town-owned personal property under such terms and conditions as they deem advisable, bid process to be used when deemed advisable, The Select Board recommends passage. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of authorizing the Select Board as stated in Article 16 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative. Article 17, see if the town will vote to authorize the tax collector to accept prepayments of taxes not yet committed and pay no, 0%, interest in accordance with 36 MRSA Section 506. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of authorizing the tax collector as stated in Article 17 say yes.
Yes.
All those against say no. Go in the affirmative. That's my way. Little business over there. Article 18, see if the town will vote to direct the tax collector / treasurer to apply any tax payments received or any real property tax to outstanding or delinquent property taxes owed, and in chronological order beginning with the oldest unpaid tax bill in accordance with 36 MSRA Section 906. Select Board recommends passage. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of directing the tax collector / treasurer as stated in Article 18 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative. Article 19, see if the town will vote to pay for tax abatements and applicable interest granted during FY 26 from overlay. Any balance not spent on tax abatement to be credited to the tax stabilization reserve. The select board as assessors are authorized to raise overlay under 36 MRSA Section 710. Overlay will not be more than 5% of the tax commitment. The select board recommends passage. I will entertain a motion regarding paying for tax abatements and applicable interest granted during FY 26 from overlay. Because there's multiple parts to this. So are we asking them to vote that any balance will not be spent and that we're authorizing you to raise under 36 MRSA and that we're limiting overlay in this article to 5%? Like there's multiple requests in here. So, I see the first sentence as yes, as the word. The rest of it is explanatory.
That is true, with a lot of explanation in here. It's explaining that anything that is not spent on tax abatements goes into the tax stabilization reserve account. Actually, there's two things in there. One is put the unspent money into the tax stabilization reserve account, but it's not an automatic thing. So this is the second item.
And I'll take it up. So the first one is tax abatement, to pay tax abatements and interest grant from overlay. That's the first question, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll take a question on that. I'll take a motion on that. The question is, to see if the town will vote to pay for tax abatement and applicable interest granted during FY 26 from overlay. I'll entertain a motion on that. It's been moved and seconded for that to occur. Discussion.
What is overlay?
The question is, what is overlay?
Okay, so when you draw up your budget, the state says you can add an unspecified amount of 5% onto the overall budget when you're figuring your taxes. You can do it to make the numbers come out right, or you can just do it because you're allowed to. But it's just a little bit of a fudge factor that the law allows the selectmen to decide on when you do the overall budget and figure out your tax rates. The way this works is, as soon as we're done here, we've got a budget, our assessor's got this very complicated spreadsheet, and it does all of the things that the state mandated calculations, and you get down to the bottom, and it offers you a high overlay and a low overlay amount that's within that 5%. You gotta pick something in there between, that's what we do as a selectman, that gets plugged in, and it's kind of a circular spreadsheet, but it comes up with your final mill rate in there, so that's what it is, it's a fudge factory, but, you can't know exactly what it is, but that's what we use to, pay the tax abatements, and like this year, we're spending part of it to reduce the mill rate, because we're spending money out of the tax, abatement reserve account.
Additional questions on the motion on the floor? Yeah.
I agree with your apparent concern that this article seems to speak to two, requirements, and at least one of them seems to be dependent on the proceeding. Is it your intention as moderator that we vote on this in totality or in pieces and parts?
If there was a combined motion, I'd entertain it, but there would have to be a combined motion. So the motion on the table is that the town will authorize the selectmen to pay for tax abatements and applicable interest granted during FY 26 from overlay. You could put an and in there and add the next one if you wanted to, but I don't think you have to. But the next thing I was going to entertain is the next sentence is limiting the balance, limiting the authorization such that the balance not spent on the tax abatement will be credited to the reserve account.
I agree. This article is, the writing of it is a bit bothersome. If we were to take out the period after overlay and say, and any balance not spent, et cetera, would that satisfy you that we have one article that we can vote on? I don't know how we can vote twice on one article.
I'm separating out the sections, so it's 19A and 19B. If you'd like to do that motion to amend, I'll entertain it.
I'm looking at it as someone with moderating experience and experience in reading articles, and I think you are too. Would you concur that would be useful?
So the best motion that I see, you can't do it as read, so I was trying to make sure we got everything, but the best motion I see is that the town votes to pay for tax abatements and applicable interest granted in FY 26 from overlay, and any balance not spent on the tax abatement will be credited to the tax stabilization reserve account, and
therefore
overlay cannot be more than 5% of the tax commitment. That's the best motion I see, and it covers everything.
I would like to
You don't have to say the 5% because that's state law.
yeah.
Okay, so
That's explanatory.
all right, so if you want to do the first two with an and instead of, I'll say it again, anyway. So, do you want me to say it again?
Yeah, I'd like to offer as an amendment that this be restated at the end of the first sentence, after the word overlay, we take away the period, let's take the period, make it a comma, and say and then any balance not spent, et cetera. And overlay cannot be more than 5% of the tax commitment. And then, after that, have the explanatory sentence that the select board are authorized to raise under 36 MRSA and all that stuff. Does that work for you?
I'm willing to entertain that amendment. You wanna make it?
I believe I just did.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, so we have the primary motion of the first sentence, which just deals with the abatement and paying it out of override. The speaker has requested to make a modification or an amendment such that the motion on the floor would be, to see if the town will vote to pay for tax abatement and applicable interest granted during FY 26 and overlay, and any balance not spent on tax abatements will be credited to the tax stabilization account, and overlays cannot be more than 5% of the tax amendment. So the speaker's asked to amend the motion to cover the entire article, in that way. So first we have to vote on the amendment to make sure that we want to amend the initial motion. So, any discussion, or should we just go straight to the vote? Yeah?
Just to clean up a little bit, I think I heard one of the selectmen say overlay cannot be more than 5% of tax law. So we really don't need to have that in there, is that right? Yeah.
Speaker, would you like to withdraw that part of your motion?
I believe it's immaterial. You can have explanatory material in an article. It helps the general reader understand what the heck is going on. But it in itself provides no obligation to the town and the townspeople to do anything. I just assume leave it in. And again, I don't think we can have Article 19A and 19B, it is not presented to warrant. So I'd like to do this so we can do the whole damn thing and move on to number 20.
Not fighting it. Any other discussion about the amendment? All those in favor of adopting the amendment, so we're gonna vote a minute on whether or not we accept the amendment, but now we're just, not me.
She's out of the room.
You'll stop, right? You'll stop. Who's gonna get on? We can sure I got it all. All those in favor of the speaker's amendment, and then we're gonna vote on the amendment, but all in favor of amending the motion on the floor with the speaker's amendment, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Right, so we have the amendment. All those in favor of Article 19, which states that the town will pay for tax abatement and applicable interest granted during FY 26 from overlay, and any balance not spent on tax abatements will be credited to the tax stabilization reserve account, and overlay cannot be more than 5% of the tax amendment. All those in favor of that say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative. Thank you for your patience. Article 20. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $37,444.60 of overdraft in the FY 25 budget. The estimated overdrafts are as stated. The select board recommends passage of this article.
Oh.
I've given people a chance to read it, but you moved it, I'll get it, and seconded it. You seconded it, right? Yep. All right, discussion. Yeah.
I'm just curious as to why Standish Rescue went into overdraft. Are we having more calls or what's up?
No, they didn't send us the bill. Part of last year. They sent it this year.
Additional discussion. Hearing none, all those those in favor of raising and appropriating the sum of $37,444.60 as stated in Article 20, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote the affirmative in the amount stated. Article 21, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate towards the revaluation reserve account. The select board recommends $14,000.
Second.
Discussion.
The difference in the cost?
Yeah, when, Cumberland County Assessing came to us, with their cost for this year, they said that there's a lot of towns that are going through reevaluation right now, and we ought to think about accelerating our reevaluation because property prices are going up very quickly. We haven't factored that in, but they said that if there are a lot of questions that come up during a reeval, their cost doesn't include somebody's answer to the questions. And so this is our money into a pot to, okay, so that, yep.
And, the current balance, and you're just adding 14 to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Additional questions regarding 21. Hearing that, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $14,000 towards the revaluation reserve account, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. From the affirmative, $14,000. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $150,682 towards Tri-Town waste operation. The select board recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
What was recommended?
Second. It's been moved and seconded in the $150,682 amount. Discussion.
I'm a little confused because we appropriated 137, we spent 113, and we're going up to 150.
Yeah. The 147, if you look right below those numbers, I mean, there's what we spent, and then look right below that number, the 147,007 is what Tri-Town estimates our share is for this year. And of course, this year, event starts January 1st and goes to the end of the year. And then the part right behind that is my estimate of, half of the 147 with a 5% increase on it. We gotta do this in a couple of these warrants because sometimes the people we're budgeting against are on the separate fiscal year.
Why are we going up, $34,000 when we went down? I mean, it looks like we appropriated $34,000 more than we spent, but then we're going up again $34,000 to appropriate the same amount we appropriated. I'm sorry, to appropriate $150,000 for next year when we didn't spend. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Sorry.
I don't know, I'm looking for report in the back. And we'll find it.
I believe the selectmen are looking at the book to see if they have additional information.
I'm not sure we're gonna be able to give you a quick answer. It's about the same, but it's right near the next, yeah. This error, this 113 number may be an error. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But the general discussion at the meeting was the budget for this year is about the same as the previous year. And that's why it goes up a little bit from the previous year, because I've added in a bit for next year, in our fiscal year.
Additional discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $150,682 for the tri-town rate operations as stated in Article 22, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote the affirmative in the amount stated. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 for the tri-town rate reserve account and authorize the select board to withdraw funds from the reserve account as needed for capital expenses at the tri-town waste disposal facility. The board recommends passage. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $15,000. Discussion.
I have one question on Tri-Town. We pay all of this money to Tri-Town, and then I go to the film, and I have to pay, the drop this along. Why?
So the speaker, just for the back there, the speaker asked, the town pays all this money to the dump, but when he goes to dispose of certain items at the Tri-Town waste facility, he has to pay a fee. And he'd like to know why he has to pay a fee if the town is paying this much money. I'll put that to the select board.
Because we'll see more money, we'll be asking for more money, we didn't charge the fee.
Oh,
I think the general answer is that it's to do general trash, and then if you have other things like lumber or things like that that require.
So we are also out of towners that come in, and they don't pay taxes for the Tri-Town, so they themselves.
Yeah, but the things that you're gonna see a big cost on are things like mattresses, things that are, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Speaker in the back.
Do we know what the other two towns that make up the, Tri-Town waste operations, do we know what their, expenditures, appropriations, and particularly their reserve accounts are? Is it similar to ours, or?
The same.
Exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
At the meeting, we divided by three.
Yeah, good.
Each benefit is the same.
Thank you.
And here we have less garbage than those other towns. We should get it, garbage, we should get a discount.
Better quality of trash.
Their trash is higher quality, that's right. Hearing no further discussion of Article 23, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $15,000 for the Tri-Town Waste Reserve Account, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote the affirmative as stated. Article 24, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 for mowing, restoration, and care of existing cemeteries in town. Board recommends passage. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded the amount of $10,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $10,000 for Article 24, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote the affirmative. Article 25, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $9,000 for the cost of patrolling, maintenance, and porta potty rental for San Juan Beach during the summer months. Any balance left over after June 30th, 2026 will roll over into the San Juan Reserve Account be used for capital improvement. The select board and San Juan Beach Committee recommend passage. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $9,000. Discussion. 1, 2.
Are the beach stickers involved in this number?
No.
So that
The
would be,
stickers go for any improvements in maintenance, that would be 2 beats, like a fence. One fence is just, application with stickers, not a sticker amount.
And you'll see in Article 27, the sticker fees are allocated to capital service now.
never mind, sorry.
Next.
The article references a report to be found on page 55. There is none.
It can be found at it is referenced at page 55 because, and you can't find it at 55 because there is no report.
Okay. So I guess as a follow-up, I would say without that information, it looks like there was an overage. Would it make sense to amend it to request 9,500?
We cannot go over 9,000.
Okay.
It's a closed article.
Okay.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of
Don't find the drinks after the meeting.
Dance party, dance party. All those in favor of raising and appropriating $9,000 as stated in Article 25 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. So the affirmative $9,000. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to charge $10 per year per vehicle for access to San Juan Beach. The San Juan Beach Committee recommends passage. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion.
How much do we collect? How much do we collect?
Approximately, like $1,200, isn't it?
That's very next article. That's last year.
Yeah. Oh, so,
Maybe to get
24 was 1,320 and 25 was 1,240. How that breaks out, I guess 124 for $12. Discussion, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just curious why we need to vote on this every year, where other fees, like, say, licensing jobs, we don't vote for. So why do we have to vote on this each year?
I don't know why we have to,
Not
we
the
do.
state.
What?
That's the state, it's the state.
Well, she paid for their own dog license.
So,
Dog license fees the state mandated.
so down state, some licenses have a state fee, but I put to the select board why, we do this each year. This probably could be done, but town select board can never, because it's doing it can't.
I don't know. Research the rules, if you had it as a warrant item in the town report, does that have the effect of like an ordinance, so it just carries on until it gets amended? We can check it and see.
It's kind of put down, right?
Yeah. I mean, he would like to get rid of a few articles.
Mr. Moderator, in answer to Laurie's question, I would suggest that it gives us the opportunity to either raise or lower it depending on requirements and demand.
Yeah. My recollection is the first year this was in, it was rather controversial, so that may be part of the reason why. Yes.
Was there any mention of whether there's a different fee schedule for residents versus non-residents?
is none currently,
They're not available for now.
okay. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of charging the $10 per year per vehicle as stated in Article 26, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative. Article 27, to see if the town will vote to dedicate all of these San Juan sticker fees to the San Juan Reserve Account for capital improvement. Entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of dedicating the San Juan sticker fees to the San Juan Reserve Account say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. So the affirmative is read. Article 28. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate to support the Socrates Valley Rec Council. The Socrates Valley Rec Council is requesting $4,000. The select board recommends passage. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $4,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $4,000 for Article 28 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote the affirmative of $4,000. Article 29, see if the town will vote to dedicate all snowmobile registration fees to the Baldwin Belt Earners Snowmobile Club. The club is asking for 100%. For reference, in 23-24, it was $714.06. I'll entertain a motion.
Moved as presented.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of dedicating all snowmobile registration fees to the Baldwin Belt Earners Snowmobile Club say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote the affirmative. Article 30, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the Standish Rescue Unit Services. The Standish Public Safety requests $89,044 annual cost for a full-time staff ambulance at the Steep Falls Station. The select board and Baldwin Fire Chief recommend the $89,044. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $89,044. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $89,044 for Article 30 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative of $89,044. Article 31, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the fire department for expenses. Any unexpended balance will be transferred to the fire department's operating reserve account. The select board and Baldwin Fire Department recommend $120,000. I will entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $120,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $120,000 for Article 31 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote the affirmative for $120,000. Article 32, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the fire equipment reserve account for future purchase of fire trucks. The select board and Baldwin Fire Department recommend $100,000.
Only now $100,000.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $100,000. Discussion. Yes.
What's the current value of the fire equipment reserve account?
I'll see if I can find it. If Deb has it, she can answer it.
You have expenses in that.
What?
You have expenses.
No,
Yes.
this is just adding what we,
It's 289 what?
I'm looking at what it was at the end of last year, and I believe it's 285,971.
285,971 as of the last year.
And so this will add another 100,000, and we did up to 385,000. We don't anticipate buying another fire truck, according to the capital investment plan, until FY 32. At the cost of $883,000 or something like that. So we're putting money into the account over time.
Further questions?
Yeah, so does that mean that in addition to the numbers you read from the last fiscal year, or is that from, at the end of fiscal 24, then we have what was left over from the 25 appropriation, which is gonna be about 15,000?
One moment, please. So you're looking at Article 31?
Yeah, because it says balance, oh, that goes to the operating account.
Yeah.
So, never mind.
All right, so if we put this, if we agree to the hybrid, we're looking at about 385,000 will be at that time. There may be some additional, but approximately 385. Additional discussion. All those in favor of raising to appropriating $100,000 as stated in Article 32 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. From the affirmative of $100,000. Article 33. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 for maintenance and repairs for the fire department vehicles. And unspent balance will be deposited in a fire truck maintenance reserve account. The board and fire department recommend passage. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. So, discussion from me, it says a fire truck maintenance reserve account, that already exists, right?
Yep.
No, okay. Additional discussion. Yes.
So we balance and we make the account at this time.
Some of these reserve accounts are not part of the capital investment plan, so as a selectman, we don't see that. The report is done by Deb. And I don't think it's in any of these trio reports, but they just give us expenses and income.
So, we don't have the exact figure today, but as of June 30th, 2023, it was $12,000. So I don't know if we appropriate
So
something
what
like
we had
that.
in the expenditure side of the account? And
That's
we
fine.
don't, that needs to be paid the bill.
Usually here in FY 25, the year that just passed, they spent $78,010. And I guess you could do the math and say 15,000 plus whatever was there, minus the 7810, and come up with a rough estimate of the balance. Because last year we did the same amount.
70,000.
70,000.
Okay.
And 10.
So, yeah, you take the end of June 23, or the end of the 23 balance, add in the expenditure, and 15,000, and come up with a quote.
Without that 15,000, it's $4,990. Or did they have 15,000 last year?
We added,
15,000 this year.
So it's only 19,000 roughly.
yeah. So I know in, in prior, I was just talking to Deb, prior, warrants, we did have the reserve account numbers, but because we didn't get the numbers from the auditor in time, these weren't included this year. That may have been helpful to answer your question quicker. Any additional discussion? What number are we on? 32. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $15,000 for the maintenance and repair of fire department vehicles, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote in the affirmative. Article 34. See what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for fire chief compensation, including town fire chief and a town assistant chief for the ensuing year. The select board and fire chief recommend $21,546. I'll entertain a motion.
Board recommended.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $21,546. Discussion.
That's cheap, don't forget. We have a really good selection.
Hearing no further discussion or comment, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $21,546 for Article 34 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. So the affirmative is 21,546. Article 35, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for 3 fire station captains. The fire chief recommends raising and appropriating $3,231.90. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $3,231.90. Discussion.
Just a clarification, where it says recommendation, should that be fiscal year 26?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yes. 26,
Yeah,
yes.
right here.
Yep.
So I didn't read that part because I don't take that as part of the article, so it's a recommendation, so we're just voting on the total amount, they're gonna parse it out, they agree with that. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $3,231.90 as stated in Article 35, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote the affirmative. Article 36, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the town firefighters for their training hours and calls. The select board and fire chief recommend $55,000. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to recommended.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $55,000. Discussion.
Does this mean the fact that we only expended $27,000 versus a 25 appropriation of $55,000? Does that mean we're behind on our firefighter training, or that we didn't get all the training that we needed to done?
You have to ask the fire department on that.
Is there anybody from the fire department who can address that?
Yeah, I think that's part of it, and then part of it, the number of personnel on the fire department is not way below what we need staffing. So if we had full staff, then we'd be paying a lot more for training, probably even more than is being allocated to it. So.
Additional questions, comments, concerns? Yes.
I know that last year, and probably again this year, we needed to include, men mention of having any training funds that are left over rolled into a training reserve account. And I was told we had to propose that each year at this meeting.
That has not been proposed as part of the article.
Cheryl?
Yes.
They did move that money, the extra money, I remember moving it, into the reserve account, so that, it just needs to be worded right next year. They're doing it, it's not read right.
Yeah, just curious if it has to be in print in here.
Well, you could amend it if you want. I don't see a problem amending it if you want to amend it.
No, but 1 year it didn't say the right way.
So would you like to amend it?
Yes.
The unspent balance to be deposited.
What I hear the amendment being is that, the town will vote to raise and appropriate $55,000 for the town firefighters for their training hours and calls, and any remaining balance will be deposited in the
Training reserve account?
the town of Baldwin training reserve account,
Fire training, yeah.
fire training reserve account. Do I have a second to that amendment?
Second.
All right, any discussion on that amendment, or vote on whether we should amend it? Yes.
Do we already have a training account, a training reserve account, or do we need to establish one with this amendment?
I think what they did is they added it to the fire equipment reserve account.
We have to create a new one.
I would ask the person who authored the amendment to include the words "and to create a training reserve account." Would that work for everybody? Does that work for Debbie too?
That would be good.
Okay. I think that's what I heard you say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got it.
that's what I thought.
So, what I heard the amendment being is, so we want the motion to now be raise and appropriate $55,000 for the town firefighters for their training hours and calls, and establish a Baldwin firefighter training reserve account and deposit any remaining funds into that account, is what I heard.
Yes.
Any questions on the amendment?
Seconded, if it hasn't been already.
Fair enough. Hearing no questions on the amendment, so we're gonna vote to replace the original motion by the amendment. So all those in favor of replacing the original motion with the amendment, say yes?
Yes.
All those opposed say no? All right, so we're on to the amendment. So any discussion about the motion as amended? So the motion as amended, we're raising and appropriating $55,000, creating a Baldwin firefighters training fund, and putting any residual or remaining funds into that at the end of the fiscal year. All those in favor of that motion say yes?
Yes.
All those opposed say no. It's a vote in the affirmative of $55,000 as stated in the amended motion. Article 37, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $13,338.91 for our contract for FY 26 with Cumberland County Dispatch for dispatching emergency and fire calls. The select board and fire chief recommend passage. I will entertain a motion. Moved and seconded in the amount stated. Discussion. Yes?
Is the additional money because that's what those were, why the additional?
What they requested, that's it, that's it, cost to do it.
Well, the appropriation is $12.95.
Price goes up.
They put all last year.
Okay, it wasn't that we were doing much more with them,
So the discussion up here was why 13333891, and the answer was that's what the dispatch said the cost will be for the ensuing year. It's an increase over the prior year.
Yeah, roughly 400.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $13,338.91 for Article 37, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote the affirmative, 13,338.91. Article 38, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 for the maintenance, repair, and purchase of new radios as needed. The select board and fire chief recommend passage of this article. All interested in the motion? Been moved and seconded as read. Discussion.
Where is the difference from the appropriation to the expenditure?
If it's not specifically stated, it goes back into the fund balance. Which is why we didn't specifically state otherwise in that prior article. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $10,000 for Article 38 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. For the affirmative $10,000. Article 39, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the radio repeater reserve account. The select board and fire chief recommend $30,000. Then the third or fourth to replace the repeater. So 30,000 recommendations. Discuss, motion. Moved and seconded in the amount of $30,000. Select board, can you just briefly address the third or fourth to replace the repeater?
Yeah, the fire chief's not here, but he has a program that he's worked out, to replace the repeater for $120,000, and it's being paid for over a period of 4 years. And, this is our third in the series. We amortize that cost.
Discussion, additional. In fact,
If this is our third payment, why isn't the balance $60,000?
This is our third. I think if we find a balance of 60, we already paid for twice. You have to approve this one to make it 90.
Oh, this isn't saving up, this is paying a bill.
so did any money go out of the repeater reserve account? I think when you slow down that, I'm not.
Yeah, the balance is going to go. Yeah, you're right. I need that.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $30,000 for the radio repeater reserve account, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. For the affirmative, $30,000. Article 40, see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for emergency management. Select board recommends $1,500. I will entertain a motion. Been moved and seconded in the amount of $1,500. Discussion. Yes.
Do we have some work with the management board?
Not at this time. Anybody would like to volunteer?
$1,500.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $1,500 for emergency management, say yes.
Yeah.
All those opposed, say no. Vote the affirmative. Article 41, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for a fuel account used only for the municipal road crew and fire trucks. The select board recommends $26,000. I'll entertain a motion.
Oh.
The move and seconded the amount of $26,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $26,000 for the fuel account for the municipal road crew and fire trucks, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote the affirmative. You're gonna have to say yes harder. I mean, we need more enthusiasm. It's starting to stray a lot. Yeah. It's a resounding yes. 42. Making one. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for street lights for the ensuing year. The select board recommends $8,530. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $8,530. Any discussion?
Yeah, CMP said they were making cheaper light that would cost us less. Where does it show in the numbers here?
I don't know.
I'm not seeing it. We replaced all the bulbs and everything, and
I think what you're seeing is the increased cost of electricity.
All the people were solar farms.
Pardon?
All the people were solar farms.
There is no further constructive discussion. All those in favor of raising and appropriating $8,530, please say loudly, yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote the affirmative of $8,530. Article 43, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for light flight services for the ensuing year. Light flight has requested $641. The select board recommends $800. I'll entertain a motion. I don't recognize the motion, I need a number.
I move in the amount recommended by the
$800.
Do I get a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded in the amount of $800. Discussion.
why the difference?
Why are we paying them more than they asked for?
We traditionally do this.
Okay.
And the response of the audience has been, it's a great value for money. If you get one person light lighted, another thing about them.
Okay, that is $2,800. That wasn't it.
Additional discussion.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
I would agree with the sentiment that $800 is appropriate. If you have the fortune to ride in an ambulance to Maine Med, things go fairly good until you get out of Congress Street. You get to the bottom of Congress Street, and typically the downeaster wants to come through and stop the traffic on the road, then you gotta creep up through, to get to Maine Med. If you look at Flight Radar 24, I don't know how many times a day you can see these people's helicopters perched on top of the roof and you get the VIP treatment. If you're in a hurting condition, it's a hell of a big deal.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $800 for Article 43, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote the affirmative, $800. Article 44, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the care of roads and bridges. after 6/30/26 will roll over into the emergency road repair reserve account. The select board and road commissioner recommend $150,000. I'll entertain a motion. We moved and seconded in the amount of $150,000. Discussion. Everybody likes their roads, no question. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $150,000 as stated in Article 44 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Affirmative. Article 45, see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for snow removal for FY 26. Any balance left over after 6/30/26 will roll over into the emergency road repair reserve account. The select board and road commissioner recommend $275,000. I will entertain a motion.
Move.
To move and seconded in the amount of $275,000. Discussion. So that's a testament to they're doing a decent job if there's no discussion. Big minute item. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $275,000 for Article 45 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. So the affirmative $275,000. Article 46, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $30,000 for gravel. The select board and road commissioner recommend passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move in the amount of $30,000.
The moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $30,000 for Article 46 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. So the affirmative $30,000. Article 47. To see if the town will vote to authorize the town to use $70,000 from the capital investment plan town vehicle reserve account to buy out the IH 2020 plow truck. The select board and road commissioner recommend passage. I will entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of authorizing the town to use the $70,000 from the capital investment reserve account as stated in Article 47 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative. Article 48, to see if the town will vote to spend $42,446.92 from the town vehicle reserve account for the third of 5 lease payments for the plow truck ordered in 2023 and delivered in February 2024. The select board recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of spending the $42,446.92 as stated in Article 48 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. So the affirmative is read. 49, Article 49. To see if the town will vote to appropriate money received from the Maine Department of Transportation Local Road Assistance LRAP for capital improvements to town ways. The select board and road commissioner recommend passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of appropriating the money received from the LRAP for capital improvements to town ways say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. So the affirmative. Article 50. To to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $125,000 to add to the monies received from the Maine Department of Transportation local road assistance for the maintenance or improvement of town ways. The select board and road commissioner recommend passage. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $125,000. Discussion? So the question from the speaker was, why was there a $337,000 expenditure in FY '25?
You wanna answer it first?
I sure can.
Okay.
That was the building, the paving and, shouldering of Brown Road and McNeil Road.
And the answer to where did money come from, it was several years of, appropriations that hadn't been spent, and it built up the reserve account, and then we got spent.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $125,000 as stated in Article 50 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote the affirmative as read. Article 51, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for deposit to the vehicle/equipment reserve account to support the vehicle/equipment CIP. The select board and road commissioner recommend $210,000. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $210,000. Discussion, question, comment. The speaker in the front says, what is that exactly for?
It is to, add to the reserve account, for all the equipment purchases, that have already been committed to and are anticipated in the future for the, road crew.
CIP stands for capital improvement.
Or capital investment plan. But it's, it will be for next year's payment, this year and next year's payments, and in the future for the, trucks, for the 2024 truck. We've got, other things coming along, whether to replace the one ton or not. The backhoe is gonna need replacement. We just bought the excavator, so this helps pay for the excavator. So it's just a long-term equipment plan, and this is this year's deposit is what.
Additional discussion. Hearing that, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $210,000 as stated in Article 51 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. For the affirmative, $210,000. Article 52, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for town garage maintenance. The select board and road commissioner recommend $20,000. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $20,000. Discussion. Yes.
Oil, electricity, internet. Toilet paper, bathroom essentials, stuff like that.
That's a lot of toilet paper.
It's all the meetings you will.
The question for the speaker is there any maintenance to the facility itself? Is there anybody who can answer that question? Yeah.
So there was some maintenance on the building. We had some, and it's not just the main town garage. There was maintenance done to the, salt shed, there was some maintenance done to the sand salt system building, and various other upgrades / maintenance as well. It also includes all the goodies that go along with being there, as far as heating fuel and tools and other shop supplies as well.
Additional discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $20,000 for the town garage maintenance, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. So the appropriation of $20,000. Article 53, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to make final determinations regarding the closing or opening of roads to winter maintenance pursuant to 23 MRSA section 2953. Both the select board and the road commissioner recommend passage. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
The moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Yes.
Is this so you don't have to have people tell me you have to go to the road? You can just decide to do it.
No.
Okay. Just checking. What is it?
Be like, middle of Colorado Road, that they're supposed to use in the winter time. What other roads are closed?
Winston Road.
Winston, yeah, those, one road we use, so we don't have to plow.
So, state law says, if you're gonna close the road, you have a public hearing, go through the process, saying we're gonna close it for winter maintenance. After the hearing, the selectmen take into account what they hear there, but the selectmen, by law, are allowed to vote on whether they want to close it or not. Once we voted to close a road or a section of road for winter maintenance, it stands good for 10 years. So our vote is good for 10 years. If we want to change it, then we have to come back and.
What's your back for? That's what this is, your back for the.
Well, who knows what's going to come up. And so this year we might want to change something. So we've already looked at it. We've talked to the road commissioner who says we don't need to change anything. So we're not holding a vote this year. We're just going on what we've decided in the past.
So I would love to be able to get over to North Pole and to Washington Road. Do we ever plan to repair that or? Do we ever? Chris, do we ever plan to make it so I could drive through Marston Pond Road?
I would love to. It's a matter of finding time and money.
I want a yes or a no answer.
Yes, I plan.
When's that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, so keep it within the article. All right. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of authorizing the select board as stated in Article 53 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. So in the affirmative. Article 54, to see if the town would vote to raise and appropriate $15,000 for River Road repair and improvement to River Road the River Road Reserve account. The select board recommends passage of this article. I will entertain a motion.
So move.
Discussion.
What does that entail for repair for River Road?
This is generally going into a reserve account. The idea is that eventually it get paid. I don't know that we're ever going to get there with $15,000 a year, but the next, you see that we've replaced the bridge.
Right, yeah, that's awesome.
And the next big item is to design an overall upgrade of the base. Because if you just pave it, it's going to fall apart again. So that's what this reserve account right now is going into. I think the next step is get a road design. and take it from there.
In the work that was just done, they put the rocks up against the road, so people can't drive off and break it. Now that's washed away with the next storm, did that, did the repair of that road include coming back and repairing what the rain has washed out?
I'm not familiar with what range is washed out.
Well, they just started, they fixed the road and then they fixed the tar up to it, and they banked it with,
Like riprap?
right, with small rocks. With this last storm that we had, there's huge, washouts with that. The people who repaired that, they come back and,
I'll have to go check on it.
yeah, it's all washed, there's a bunch of washouts. It's a bunch of, yeah.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, let me ask a question, so are we putting it in the reserve account, is that what we're doing? Okay. All those in favor of raising and appropriating $50,000 to be placed in the River Road Reserve account, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote the appropriate $15,000. Article 55, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the emergency road repair account. The select board and road commissioner recommend $15,000. I'll entertain a motion.
So move, second.
The move is seconded in the amount of $15,000. Discussion?
On the emergency, does that include like the big holes? I live on Ginger Brook, huge holes, I've already lost the tire and the rim. Or like Fremont Ave, where those big holes, where does it come to repair those instead of just filling them in and having them washed back out?
Anybody feel that question?
Definitely not, that would be just normal, in his normal budget. This is for an emergency. If there's a huge washout,
Yeah.
the commissioner would come to us and say, I want to see money on this.
The definition of emergency depends on the.
Yeah, how big the hole is. There's some pretty big ones. Yeah.
Emergency road repair reserve account. This account is specifically for emergencies such as a catastrophic failure or damage of a road related infrastructure from natural disasters or other causes. Target level for the fund is $125,000, which we would like to get it to. Expenditure up to the current balance in the account can be authorized by the board of the So.
Catastrophic is probably where that last stuff is. Yes.
So what is the balance in that account right now?
To tell you what I think it is, right now is $111,479.
Additional questions?
So I just had it seems to me that the increased severity of all these storms, is that enough money to handle, say, another April storm, whatever?
Yeah. So, it's a budget call, how much you put into these reserve accounts, just sit there. This year, our budget is about $20,000 less than last year. I don't know if you recall last year, we had a 14 to 15% increase in our overall budget. I want to give it a breather. This year, we hope that the budget, is about equivalent to, we'll see what happens in the middle of it, but, yeah, it's a judgment call as to where you put money aside.
And I assume when we get these big storms, often we'll get, FEMA money or other emergency funds, right?
Right.
maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
So, in FY '24, as a result of the previous year's draw, we put in $65,000, and last year $15,000. We're trying to just inch it up there, but I don't know. If the people want to get it there real fast, I don't know, have to see what it comes to the town meeting.
Seeing no further discussion.
I just wanted to ask,
No, correct.
the money from that account be used on the Master Road? You know, that was catastrophic.
Decent road, like, it's gonna pass. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $15,000 to the emergency road repair account, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote the affirmative, $15,000. Article 56, see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the support of Brown Memorial Library. The library is requesting $17,000. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the amount of $17,000. Second.
The moved and seconded the amount of $17,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $17,000 for Article 56 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote the affirmative, $17,000. Article 57, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the support of the Baldwin Historical Society. The society is requesting $7,000. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded in the amount of $7,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $7,000 for Article 57 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote the affirmative, $7,000. Article 58. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the support of Saco River Corridor Commission for its continued water quality monitoring program. The commission is requesting $900. I will entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $900. Discussion.
My name is Sherry Dunning. I'm the Executive Director of the Saco River Corridor Commission. I just wanted to take a moment to thank the residents of Baldwin for their continuing donation to our water quality monitoring program. And just to let you know that the report for that water quality monitoring program for nearby sites is in this report. And also frequently increased, which for a number of years, the amount requested from municipalities along the Saco River Corridor has not been increasing in step with our costs or inflation. And so this is a pretty dramatic jump, but we try to make it easy enough over time by raising it in increments. So if you have any questions about that, we have to answer.
Any questions?
Just a comment, they also test San Juan for us,
Yes.
which is very valuable.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $900 for Article 58 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote the affirmative of $900. Article 59, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the support of the Saco River Festival Association. The association is asking for $500. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
The moved and seconded in the amount of $500. Discussion. Oh, we got there. All those in favor of raising and appropriating $500 to the support of the Saco River Festival Association say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. For the affirmative, $500. Article 60, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the support of $600. I'll entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $600. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $600 to smooth gutter use, as stated in Article 60, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote the affirmative. Article 61. To see if the town will vote to dedicate the franchise fees and other grants received from Spectrum Inc., formerly Time Warner Inc., to Saukabee Valley Media Tech, formerly TV2, for the purchase and maintenance of equipment and operating costs. I'll entertain a motion.
So
It's been moved and seconded that the franchise fees, 100%, all of them will be, transferred to Saukabee TV. Discussion.
How are they doing?
Non-resident, would you like to speak?
Yeah, it gets me. Right now, it's doing pretty good. We have a few more students this year, being able to do filming and things like that. And hopefully, once they get their driver's license, we have more that can actually do things like this. But doing really well. We just couldn't get a soccer game film today, but we got the Cornish horse harness racing film today, and then all the Parsons Shield Town meeting we got last weekend, boys soccer games. And as soon as we get a football game here, home football game, we'll still be filming that too.
And who are you?
Oh, I'm J.R. Stevenson. I'm the CB2 coordinator over there at Saukabee Valley. Also, girls ball varsity soccer coach and Latin teacher.
I always like to shout out because the value you have to having them here is immense. And, for the franchise fees and whatever, it's really an amazing thing. Thank you for being here to oversee the equipment there. Thank you for bringing it. Hey?
There's a question. How do you folks access this?
On our YouTube page, we have on Saukabee TV, anything we live stream will automatically be on there. We'll also upload videos we don't live stream. And on channel 2, we're looking on the cable channel 2. We try to upload as much as we can when we can. So it will be on channel 2 at some point.
All those in favor of dedicating franchise fees and other grants as stated in Article 61, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Article 63, see what comes lunch to our 62, Nancy. Article 62, see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for Southern Maine Agency on Aging. The agency is asking for $1,000. I'll entertain a motion. Moved and seconded in the amount of $1,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $1,000 for the Southern Maine Agency on Aging, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. For the affirmative, $1,000. Article 63, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for Opportunity Alliance. The Alliance is requesting $3,500. I will entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $3,500. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $3,500 for Opportunity Alliance, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. So the affirmative of $3,500. Article 64, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for general assistance. The select board recommends $15,000. I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
It's been moved. Did I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $15,000. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $15,000 for Article 64, say yes. Yes. All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative of $15,000. Article 65, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for Northern Lake Home Health and Hospice. The hospice agency is asking for $500. I'll entertain a motion.
What was recommended?
Second. Been moved and seconded in the amount of $500. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $500 for Article 65 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative, $500. Article 66, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for Through These Doors, an organization providing support to victims and survivors of domestic violence. The organization did not request a specific amount, and the select board did not provide a recommendation. So I will entertain a motion from the floor.
I move to provide Through These Doors $1,000.
Second, been moved and seconded in the amount of $1,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $1,000 for Through These Doors say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative, $1,000. Article 67, see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for Sweetser, an organization providing mental health support to children, families, and adults. Sweetser is requesting $500. I'll entertain a motion.
I move. Second.
The move and seconded in the amount of $500. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $500 for Sweetser say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in affirmative, $500. Article 68, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for Harvest Hill Animal Shelter for their services in handling and following stray animals. The shelter is requesting $1,631.
I move in the amount of $1,520.
Motion fails for lack of a second.
Move in the amount of $1,631.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $1,631. Discussion.
Second.
Why do they want the 1531, is that $1 per resident?
In the back.
Yeah.
There's that many people involved.
You like that, bill to get your animal for them?
No.
So the speaker in the front asked if the money that we pay has any impact on the price we pay if we take an animal there. And the speaker indicated it didn't for his situation.
Did they take you, Alan?
Alex said he was determined not to be a stray. Somebody claimed him, I'm not sure who.
I would dispute that.
So, their request is based on the 2020 census number of $1 per capita. We have a number of these organizations that request based on a per capita number. Some of them are way off, some of them are close. This one's fairly close, but maybe off by $100 people or so.
I guess my ultimate thing is, how much does it cost us to use them? You know, is this an appropriate amount of money, is it over, under? I would say it's appropriate.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Ron Anderson, I'm the administrator of the Central Selectmen.
this is working with, animal control officers here in town. We have a few residents that have had an overabundance of cats. And one in particular, has some very ill cats. And between that and other strays, they're kind of inundated with animals from all of them. So anything that they receive, I'm sure is helpful. I think that's they've had to have the state step in and help them because of the numbers here. They work to get, the numbers under control, but it's not always successful.
Okay. Additional questions, comments? Article 68?
Just to clarify, so animal control act, the shelter they go to?
We're contracted.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $1,631 for Article 68, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Article 69. Good number. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for, to Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission for 2026-2. The commission is requesting $661. I'll entertain a motion. The moving section in the amount of $661. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $661 for Article 69 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative, $661. Article 70. To see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the Grateful Undead for their efforts to make Baldwin an age-friendly community. The Grateful Undead is requesting $550. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $550. Discussion, comments, questions, concerns?
I just wanted to, I'm Lori Downs, I live in West Baldwin, and I'm on the board of Grateful Undead. But I just wanted to let people know that, this amount we asked for goes towards, we're a nonprofit, a volunteer group that represents all the towns in the Mecoskee Valley. And this money we ask for from all the towns goes to paying our insurance that we have to get as a nonprofit, and also to paying the fees for vetting our volunteers. That has to go through a process. If someone's volunteering, say, to be a volunteer driver, we have to have them go through kind of a criminal background check and all that. So that's what this money goes towards. And also an appeal, if you mention our group, to call us the Grateful Undead and not the Ungrateful Dead, which is good.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $550 for the Grateful Undead, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. For the affirmative, $550. Article 71, see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate towards planning board expenses. The select board and planning board recommend $8,000. I will entertain a motion.
Move.
Moved and seconded in the amount of $8,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $8,000 for Article 71 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative of $8,000. On the last page, folks. Article 71, 72, 72. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $30,000 for the town building reserve account to be used to replace the oil-fired boiler which has cracks in the firebox. The select board recommends passage. I'll entertain entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $30,000 for Article 72 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative as read. Article 73. Shall the document entitled 2025 Baldwin Comprehensive Plan be adopted? I'll entertain a motion.
Move we adopt the comprehensive plan.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the 2025 Baldwin Comprehensive Plan. I'll open the floor for discussion.
There are many people that put time and effort into doing this. I think personally, it's a very good plan. I think a lot of people agree with that, and I think a lot of people feel support it.
Additional discussion. Yes.
Just also commenting that I read a lot of these types of plans in my work, and this is a very well put together document.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of adopting the 2025 Baldwin Comprehensive Plan say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. No. It's a affirmative. Article 74. Before we get to Article 74, I just want to recognize folks in the back, the Baldwin Community Auxiliary for bringing some food earlier. Is there food, any more food left, or is it all gone?
We're gonna bring it out in a second.
Okay, so if you want food, stay, and there'll be some food afterwards. And then, when we have dinner, anything you want to say, here's a chance. All right. So they'll be here afterwards as well. And I bought two that haven't eaten it yet, so I can't. It looks fantastic.
It's all good stuff. I tested it.
I heard somebody had to try every one of them, but I don't know. All right. Anything, all right. Article 74. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $10,000 for the town buildings reserve account to be used to build a fireproof record vault for the town's office. The select board recommends passage. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion.
How large do we anticipate this to be? Like you can do this if you want to, but.
Almost the size of the, fire chief's office.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, half of it.
Have you seen one in the,
Historical
society?
I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen that?
It's about 8 by 12.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it's not just a little firebox, it's a real thing.
Right.
Good.
It's required by law, and the Historical Society stores a lot of their stuff, but the law requires that the town clerk have a lot of stuff posted by every hand.
Additional discussion.
The library had taken it because the historical room downstairs was fireproof. And I thought that either this storage or the other were made to be fireproof. This was like maybe 8 years ago or so.
Requires a 5-hour burn time. I don't know if that's. It's a birthday required.
You read it out, it's fireproof vault specifically built here.
Okay.
Well, and I think to the speaker, if you have some recollection of some construction historically, yeah, we just select people, select board and see if we can save $10,000. But if we can't, then we're gonna decide whether to appropriate that. So. Hearing no further discussion about whether all those in favor of raising and appropriating $10,000 for the, Article 74, say yes?
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Those in affirmative, $10,000. Article 75, I will,
Motion to adjourn.
this is like one of the fastest town meetings. For those of you going to sleep, it could be worse. I entertain a motion to